Okay, let's return to our top story this morning. The extra security in place across the nation, but especially in Sydney, to reassure the public heading to New Year's Eve celebrations in the wake of the Bondi beach attack. And it comes amid the debate about whether or not a federal royal commission into the shooting is needed. Let's speak to Shadow Attorney-General Andrew Wallace, who joins us live now. Mr Wallace, thanks for your time on Sky News this morning. Happy New Year's Eve to you. Should the public be at all concerned about heading out to celebrate later?
Well, good morning, Alex, and good morning to your viewers. Look, I think the old phrase that Australians should be alert but not alarmed is appropriate at this time, given what happened in Bondi over 2 weeks ago. Australia's worst terrorist attack, but as Australians go into New Year's Eve, we just need to have our wits about us, ensure that we follow directions of law enforcement, and we're just a little bit more conscious of our surroundings these days, unfortunately. It's
a feature of the modern world, isn't it, that everyone moves on quite quickly. Are you satisfied with how the victims of the Bondi beach attack will be honoured in Sydney today?
Well, I'm absolutely dissatisfied, and that's putting it very, very mildly, at how this government has responded to the victims and their families. The victims and their families, among a cast of thousands, if not millions, of Australians, are calling on Anthony Albanese to institute a federal royal commission. The memories of those people who have been lost, those 15 people, together with the 42 who were hospitalised, are best remembered, best catered for by getting to the bottom of the worst terrorist attack on Australian soil. Fundamentalist Islamic terrorism and anti-Semitism led to the events in Bondi, and only a federal royal commission can get to the bottom of what has happened since the 7th of October 2023. The announcements that the Prime Minister has recently made, just yesterday, where he's effectively thrown our law enforcement and our intelligence agency chiefs under the bus by saying that he's acting on their advice not to hold a federal royal commission, is, in my view, absolute bunkum. As the Deputy Chair of the PJCIS for the last 3.5 years, I worked very, very closely with our intelligence chiefs and our law enforcement agencies. And I can tell you, without a shadow of a doubt, there is no way that those chiefs would have advised the Prime Minister not to hold a royal commission. They would have said, it's a matter for you, Prime Minister, because it is a political decision. So the Prime Minister needs to come clean and advise who, in fact, has given him this advice, because I can tell you now it wouldn't have come from them.
Who do you think is advising him?
The chiefs. Well, I mean, the Prime Minister said yesterday he's taking advice from within the National Security Committee. So, in effect, what he is saying is that the chiefs of our intelligence agencies and our law enforcement agencies have given him that advice. I utterly reject that. That could not have come. The same people that I have worked with for 3.5 years would not have given him that advice. So the Prime Minister needs to come out today and say who has given him this advice. And you know what? Even if the chiefs of our intelligence agencies and our law enforcement agencies had have said that, don't you think that the Prime Minister of Australia would have thought, worst terrorist attack on Australian soil, perhaps there's a bit of a conflict of interest here if they are giving me that advice. That's all the more reason why you should call a federal royal commission. But
what is his hesitation, do you think, Mr Wallace?
I think it's to save his political skin, Alex. That's all it can be. We've heard just in the last couple of days reports coming out from within the Australian Labor Party that they have a problem with anti-Semitism. The review that the Prime Minister has announced with Dennis Richardson is so myopic in its view. He couldn't even bring himself to write into the terms of reference the term anti-Semitism or Islamic fundamental extremism. He couldn't do that. So Peter Jennings was right to point out in The Australian this morning that what the Prime Minister is trying to do is look at this problem of anti-Semitism through a straw. That is not acceptable. The only way to deal with this issue is through a federal royal commission that will look at all of the agencies, all of the law enforcement across this country, things like citizenship, how people get visas, how our cultural sector and our art sector have been impacted by anti-Semitism and have led to anti-Semitism. Bondi didn't just happen on the 14th of December of this year. It was a crescendo. It was a building up of anti-Semitism, which has been going on since, at the very least, since the 7th of October 2023. And the government of Anthony Albanese has done very little, if anything, to address it. And the Jewish Australian community are up in arms. Yep. They want answers. The only way to do that is a federal royal commission.
The Prime Minister has apologised. He's made it clear it was an anti-Semitic attack. There's a New South Wales commission planned and a review led by the former head of ASIO and Defence Minister Dennis Richardson. Why is all that not enough for you?
Well, I don't think the Prime Minister has apologised.
Yeah, he definitely has.
The Prime Minister said...
Well, Penny Wong certainly has. Well,
Penny Wong's not the Prime Minister, although she might as well be. The Prime Minister has not come out and said, I, as the Prime Minister of this country that saw the worst terrorist attack on this country, I apologise for it happening on my watch. He hasn't said that, and if he has, I've missed it. But I tell you, this is not good enough. This is not good enough from the Prime Minister of this country. He needs to be leading from the front, just as Jacinda Ardern did in New Zealand. The Jewish community is absolutely grieving and in pain, and they are not getting the answers from this Prime Minister. And it's not just me calling for a Royal Commission. It's not just Susan Lee or members of the Coalition. We've had more than 170 silks and former judges. We've had a former High Court Chief Justice, a former Governor-General, former CDF, Chief of the Defence Force, coming out and calling for this. Australians across the board are calling for a Royal Commission. The Prime Minister's insipid response over the last couple of days is just beggars belief, and Australians want answers, and it just makes no sense why the Prime Minister is not giving them those answers.
OK. Shadow Attorney-General Andrew Wallace, we really appreciate your time on Sky News this morning. Thank you.